Welcome to Beyond My Crisis. I'm your co-host, Ron Rossnick.
And I'm Vivian Gaspar. We are so fortunate to have with us here international best-selling author Alena Chapman. Welcome, Alena.
Thank you. I'm very happy to be here.
Alena, we are so fortunate that you have come back to educate our viewers on something that I believe everyone has had to deal with, the death of someone you love. And I think the problem is a lot of people don't address it. They cry, they figured I'll just get over it, and then they hope they do.
Yes.
What is the right steps or even concept of grieving?
Well, everyone has their own way to grieve. And I wouldn't say there are right steps or wrong steps to grieving. It's how you feel. But if you're finding that you are grieving long periods of time, or that you're having trouble.
What is a long period of time?
Where it's starting to inhibit your life profoundly for a period of time where you're starting to lose friends or not get out of the house. When you find yourself getting isolated. Now, a little bit of that will happen in grief, but when it's prolonged and you're starting to suffer from it, when friends are asking, where are you? Mm-hmm. That's not a good sign.
What is the normal period of time that's okay to do?
The actual in-house, oh gosh. You know, I've seen people do it for a week. I've seen people do it for a month. It depends. Okay. People grieve in different ways. Some people don't even cry at funerals.
How about after? Is it okay to not cry?
Yes.
Why?
There's
when
no
is that okay?
right. That's why we always have to follow
sobbing.
No. Some people sob. They feel good to sob. They want to let it all out. Other people have to process it. You will cry at some point, or you will process it in another way. You will, unless you're shoving it down.
So it must be processed. You're either shoving it down, you're not addressing the issue, you're not digesting it,
right.
Or you're going to process it.
Or you're going to process it. And the process doesn't mean you cry. Process means you may cry. It'll be funny. It might pop out when you're doing something else. You might be watching a movie. You might be shopping. And all of a sudden, you'll start to cry. And that's okay. It might be on their birthday, whatever. But you don't have to think you are abnormal because you're not crying.
Is there something we should say to someone that's mourning that we feel is mourning a little too long? Are there ideas to pep them up or an activity they can do?
You know, the first thing to do is just be an ear. Be a consoling friend with an ear and listen to them. And then the next thing that would be very good is to get them into a support group.
What's a support group? Like what?
A support group. Actually, it doesn't even. A support group would be nice.
Look up on Meetup or.
No. There are tons of support groups out there for people who have lost people in their lives.
So what do they Google search?
You Google, say grieving, lost mate. Or for someone who is grieving and lost a mate. Perfect, and then it'll come up with all these different organizations. There's griefsomething.com. There's a bunch of them. There's a bunch.
How is it different if you've lost a parent? Let's say you're an adult and you've lost your parent versus if you lost your spouse, whether it be suddenly or over a prolonged illness. Is it different grief for different people in respect of who they lost?
Well, it depends on the relationship they had, too, with these people. There's a lot of factors that play into it. Say you were very close to your father, but you weren't so close to your husband. Well, then you're going to grieve your father more than you will grieve the husband who died. It makes total sense. This is not a mystery.
So in our mind, we shouldn't say something's wrong about the way I feel.
No.
We shouldn't blame ourselves for the way I feel. We have to be okay with it.
Right.
Acceptance.
For instance, I'll use myself as an example. When my dad died and when my stepdad died, both awesome, wonderful men that I love. And I have to say I didn't cry at either funeral. Okay? But why didn't I cry? Because of my view of past life, and passing over is a lot different than many other people. I don't feel we're at an end. I feel like that our spirit lives on. And I think it lives on everywhere. And I know that if I just allow myself to feel it, I can feel their energy.
And that's not denial. That's just the way your belief system is.
Right.
That's much more resilient than some other frameworks.
Oh, yeah, that they're going to go get judged. Yeah. Then you get scared. Are they in heaven or are they in hell? You know, I don't think that way. The other thing, I also
In Judaism, there's no heaven or hell, but there is,
Well-
according to my rabbi, he said there's purgatory.
Oh, Catholic, we have purgatory
But it's
too.
not bad. It's not like you're getting punished.
No,
It's just a
no.
correction, a
Yeah.
place to correct.
Isn't that a nice idea that if there's no hell, then you shouldn't be so afraid or afraid for the person who passed over? That's a nice idea.
I think that it's all consciousness where you go really more than anything. And I've done research on it. I really have, because I was curious. And when I'm curious, I do research. But I also feel that when, you know, both my father and my stepdad were very sick. And for me to want them to suffer, to live longer in that condition, I just can't do it. I know that they're at peace now, you know? So you have to, when someone is grieving, sometimes, I don't want to say it gets selfish, but sometimes we don't see what the situation really was. That this poor person had been suffering with cancer for a long time, or with Lou Gehrig's disease, and actually had a terrible suffocating death. You know,
So we should look.
why would we look into wanting them to
So
stay?
we have to look at the glass half full. Then we have to look
Yes.
at the positive
Yes.
in every circumstance.
Yes, but that doesn't mean that you're not going to miss them,
Right, of
and it
course
doesn't mean you're not going to miss the things that they used to do at the house. Habits. We mourn habits more than anything in the world.
Oh, that's interesting.
We
I never
mourn the
heard of that.
habits. Yes, you'll be fine until you go to make the dinner for one. You'll be fine until it's time to go to bed and nobody's beside you. You know what I mean? Those are habits. We mourn those habits. We have to realize it's habits that we're mourning. It's just keeping things in perspective.
That's a great awareness. I never thought about the habits are what we're attached to.
Yes, very much so. And so you have to take steps to change the habits.
Okay, so I'm really curious about something. There's, I think, somewhat of a controversy, depending also upon religious beliefs, between cremation and burial with, you know, different varieties of headstones or the flat, you know, metal plaques in the cemeteries. Does that make a difference in your belief or your experiences if it's easier to grieve if you have a cemetery plot or a headstone to go visit versus if someone's cremated and they got scattered to the ocean, or
Yeah.
if they cremated and they're sitting in an urn in your living room?
Yeah.
What's the difference? Do you think
Or they're now planted as a tree.
that's an idea.
That's
Or
another
what
one
if
that
they
just
become
started.
part of a necklace? I heard that you can make it into
no.
a jewelry.
Really?
Yeah.
So your belief
See, there's
system is
everything.
that physical matter just gets altered and goes somewhere else.
Physical. Well, yeah, they're
Spiritual and energy.
spiritual. In every energy and matter never ever goes away.
So it doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter.
But what about for the person grieving? Do you think it helps someone to have a place like a cemetery to go, or even to have their
For each person.
an urn? I saw
I know.
someone where an urn is actually inside a clock. Do you
Yeah.
know that they actually make a decorative
Yeah.
clock to put on a fireplace mantle, for example, or on a shelf, and you never knew that behind
Yeah.
the face of a clock is the plastic box that holds
I know.
the remains.
I know.
It's like-
I know.
It's like saving time in a bottle in a clock.
Ooh, yeah.
That's a good way to
song.
put it. But which is better to console someone? Do they have
Everyone is their own person, and,
Yeah, it
and
doesn't
they
matter.
may feel very comfortable having the remains on their mantle or in a clock or growing a tree or going to the cemetery. If there's somebody who's going to move, they might not want them in the cemetery. You know what I mean? It all depends on the person. As far as religious belief, I can't say what's right or wrong. That is your faith, and I respect that totally. However,
But the goal is what I'm hearing is
what,
be okay with it, digest it,
be
and just
okay.
accept this, and create a great life out of it.
and make a great life out of it. Know that they don't want you just sitting there bemoaning them.
Right. If
They
I,
want you to move on.
And if I die, I'm not going to say when. If I
so
die,
immortal?
That's good we don't know.
Yeah.
Ron is actually a vampire. Did we not know this?
I would hope that my children and people that care about me would be inspired to live a better life from within my memory.
I know. I tell my boys, I say, you know what? First of all, I don't want everybody just coming to awake and everybody serious. I want a party. Be happy for me. And then I said, and I would like to be cremated. I said, you take my ashes, and all 3 of you have to go to Lake Champlain, if it's still not against the law, and spread my ashes.
Wow.
But go 3 together, because you'll all be in different places, and if you unify, it would be a very meaningful thing for
Oh,
me.
nice.
That's a great idea. Well, I also want to go back for a second. For someone whose loved one just passed away,
Yes.
I heard about this stages of grief. Can you cover any of that with us now?
I don't necessarily go to the stages of grief, but I know that the stages of grief have helped many people. And
Is it real? I mean, does that really
Yes, yes.
come about inside
Yeah.
people? I've heard that one of them is anger, denial.
lots of people, my mother, she goes through that. She has had, I thought it was kind of funny at first, but she went through where she wasn't feeling well. And she just made this one comment in the car. She said, well, I don't know why they're not here to help me.
Oh.
And she met her 2 ex-husbands, her 2 dead
Which one
husbands.
should you want first?
I didn't ask her that.
But they could be there
That's
by
what I
being
told
an
her.
inspiration for her.
Well, I said, Mom, they are here. I said, they are here. They're near you. For heaven's sakes, they're in, just allow yourself to feel that energy. They're here. And she said, no, but they're not here taking care of me. And I said, well,
You could do your best.
if you open yourself, you will feel the comfort of them. And if you open yourself, you may even gain knowledge. But you have to have the clarity. But we like to blame. We like to, it's just her way of grieving and letting it out in an anger form. And you do that. But for me to sit there and say you shouldn't do that is not going to help the situation.
Right.
I can help her process it and think of it. I can plant the seeds that there is an alternative. But
Yes.
she still
Inspire
has to.
her to think of it in a different way, in a positive way.
And then she has a choice. And that's what you can offer people. A choice, always.
So if you are going through a grieving process, or if you love someone who is, do you believe the support groups or getting a coach or a mentor such as yourself is really a good help? Or does it just go away by itself and eventually you come to terms with it and you just move on? What's really necessary?
I think, no, I find that the people who just want to move on don't do it so well.
Really?
I do. I do
I
think
think they
that
just get accustomed to that person being absent from their lives
some
and they just move
people
on.
do, some people do, and a lot of people don't. They still, I don't want to say they have resentment, but they just are having more problems with it than most. But they shove it down, and it comes out like with my mother. Why aren't they here?
So if they can't,
kind of
if
thing.
they can't speak about it, have a conversation seriously about their
Right.
their loved one, then there's some obstacle that they may need to get through,
Yeah.
work out. Which, in case a mentor, you were saying, is someone that can help you discover these things about yourself
Yes.
to improve.
And mentors is the one good thing. If you're one who doesn't like groups, like
Right.
my mother, you don't like to go to the groups, a mentor is a wonderful way, because a lot of mentors, including myself, have ways for you to process it that you don't have to go out in the group, but you're talking and you're communicating and you're writing.
Right. So your insight as a mentor is at a much higher level than someone that doesn't have the experience to get through this
Right.
and understand
Exactly.
the human experience as well.
Exactly. Because
you're the
after,
guide.
Yeah.
You're the spirit guide, actually.
Oh, spirit guide. I love that. Yes, and we also help you find the direction to move on. We don't just leave you at that point. That's
Right.
the one thing.
And you have
wanna
so
do.
much more to offer. I mean,
Yeah.
just in
Yeah.
this one area, but you're probably thinking, how can I make this person's life
Exactly.
fantastic
That's
at
what
the
I'm
same
thinking.
time?
Moving on
and any
into a better
mentor
life.
that I would want not just to have expertise to get out of my grieving, but to kind of springboard me into happiness and
And
success.
show me this that future that I could have, and actually believe in me.
I really appreciate that you came to help us, because who hasn't known someone, or they themselves lost someone that's very dear to them, that they love with everything in their being. And then, if it hasn't happened yet, they might need to reach out to someone to help them, or reach out to some mentor or someone to help them through the process, or someone they love. So, let this be a way for you or someone you love to get beyond this crisis.